Yo, what is up, guys? How's it going? Sick boy, Trader Mayne here with his fucking annual flu. Hope everyone's doing good. That is a breakout hat. The hats are fucking fire. It's kind of like this like suede kind of material. It's quite nice. All right, guys. Oh. I'm sorry if I sound a little haggard, and I'm sorry if I have any sort of coughing or sneezing fits during the course of this video, but I am pretty fucking sick. All right, so what can I say? What can I say? I can say I told you so, kind of. So if you've been watching for the last little bit and following along on streams and videos and things like that, I kind of was spot on with, the thoughts that I think the top, potentially, at least for the short term or the midterm, was going to be on Bitcoin due to the ETF. So I figured, okay, we have this big event that's basically been telegraphed for months. Everyone and their mother is long into this event that we, basically have assumed is a certainty. And it happens. We get a little bit of a fart, and now we're pulling back. And from the top, we're down, 20% already. So, was spot on there. Now, where my thesis, can someone give this guy the Discord fucking link so he can fucking shut up? Is this what you want from me, bro? Here, hold on. There's the Discord link. And if you're on Twitch, there's the Discord link. So I was right about that aspect of it, but what I timed poorly, and I don't necessarily think that my prediction is, I don't even want to call it prediction. I don't think that the rotation can't still happen, but at the end of the day, timing is one of the most important things in trading. You can have an idea where you think price is going to go, right? You think price is going to go higher or lower. But if you don't know when that's going to happen or what might happen before that happens, do you really know anything? So saying, hey, I think Ethereum is going to have a period of outperformance against Bitcoin, right? And then let's say Ethereum from here rips. Was I right? I mean, kind of, right? But this is kind of like the capo argument where if we eventually go to 10K, is he right? Right? No, in my opinion, because before we went to 10K, we went from 16K to 50K. So you can't be like, I'm bullish on Ethereum to 3,400 and then us drop 20% and then go to 3,400 and be like, see, I told you so, right? So that's just as important as knowing the direction, is knowing when something is going to happen. So that's why, I considered myself wrong, on that tweet. And this is part of trading, right? So, if you follow me, you'll know I'm someone who is not afraid, to admit I'm wrong. I get stuff wrong all the time. My hit rate on my trades is sometimes, 40 to as high as 60%, but I'm not getting every trade right. I'm not correct on every prediction I make. Of course not. That's insane. But I have no shame in letting you guys know when I get something wrong, because the idea here is to give you a more realistic expectation of what trading is. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have good trades. You're going to have bad trades. You're going to be right sometimes. You're going to be dead wrong some other times. The fact of the matter is, I was very much spot on with the bull bias from here up to here. and I made a ton of money during that time period. I gave back some money during this, but I'm okay with that, right? It's about catching the meat of the move, right? You don't need to buy the bottom and sell the top if you can just catch the majority of this move. And then I sent out a tweet yesterday effectively saying, hey, like, now that the market is not just doing this, and maybe it will continue. Maybe this is just a higher low. We don't know yet. But this has been a bit of a trickier market to trade than all of this, right? So from September until December, mid to late December, up only, basically long anything and make a bunch of money. And then the last couple of weeks, it's been a little bit trickier. So what you don't want to do is when you have a period of easy mode where you make a bunch of money, you do not want to give that back as soon as the environment in the market changes, right? So one of the hardest things to do in trading is knowing when buying every dip blindly just isn't going to work anymore, right? When the market is changing from perhaps trending to range bound or from an uptrend to a downtrend, and being able to accept that change in flow and then adjust your trading accordingly. And maybe that means that you're now not looking for longs, you're looking for shorts. Maybe that means you're not trading for a little while. I know some guys, like look at Rookie. Rookie's one of my boys, absolutely smashed it here. And now the market's going kind of sideways and he's not trading very much right now. Not as much because he knows where his edge is. His edge is in the very strong uptrend. He knows when to push on the gas. And that's what works for him. You do not need to be able to trade a downtrend. You do not need to be able to trade sideways. If you know that, hey, I'm really good at trading a strong uptrend, then wait for the market to sync up with your edge, right? But what a lot of people are going to do is they're going to trade the same way they traded here, and it's not going to work for them, right? How many people in the last week, 2 weeks, have told you to buy the dip on every one of these drops? You almost start to wonder, how do these people even have any money left to buy the dip? Because back here, they told me they were all in and we're going to 100K. Here, they told me the ETF is approved. We're going to a fucking bajillion. And then now the market is dumping and they're telling me to long the dip. And it's like, with what money? I thought you were all in. Oh, you said all in on the dip here and then it dipped again. And then you said all in again, right? And my point of that message was, right, like, most of these people are not actually trading, right? It's engagement farming. Maybe they're selling you something. Maybe they just like getting the engagement and looking like they know how to trade. I don't really know, right? But for the most part, a lot of this is bullshit and it's fake. And you need to ignore it, right? Do not let it affect you. You're going to have people, just like there's people telling you to short every move on the way up, there's going to be people to tell you to long every move on the way back down. Go look at the last bull market. You'll see people who are telling you to long every dip here and then every dip here, being like, don't worry, it's coming back, it's coming back. Same thing. Oh, that's the top. The top is in, the top is in, the top is in, the top is in. See, I told you. The top is in, the top is in, the top is in, top is in. See, I told you, like, it's the same shit. So don't listen to most of these people, and don't listen to me even. I know you're here watching. If you like what I have to share and you like how I trade and you're trying to learn, by all means, do that, right? But the last thing you need to be doing, right, is just blindly following someone on the internet because they have a lot of followers, and maybe they got a trade right, and therefore you think, oh, they must really know what they're talking about, right? Because you can just be a bull in an uptrend. There's a lot of people who thought they knew how to trade because the market just went straight up, and you could almost buy anything and make money, and they're going to learn very quickly if they keep doing that maybe they don't actually know how to trade, and they just got lucky, and the timing was good. Right? So keep all that in mind. All right. And just the cherry on cake. Someone says Capo lives in your head rent free. Buddy, you're watching my video. I must live in your head rent free. I live in your mother's bedroom rent free. And then he just gave me a compliment, the same guy. I'm sorry, Jack. I take it back about what I just said just now. What I just said that very moment, I take that back about your mother. But I got to say one more thing about cable. Just one more. And then, Jack, I promise on your mother's life, I will stop talking about it for the rest of this video, hopefully. He literally said, it's just so funny, man. He literally said, he's like, yo, 48 to 50K is the top. Ethereum, 26 to 2,700, right? And then that's exactly what happened. And then it dumped. And then he's like, one more move up to 50. One more. And then he's like, and I'm longing altcoins. And then it's just been down only ever since. So he was bearish this entire way. Then he called for the top at the fucking Pico top. It happened. And then he faded his own advice and started longing altcoins. And it went down only since. You can't write that shit. There was a guy in the last cycle called Lord Ashdrake. He's still on Twitter. Sorry, guys. He's still on Twitter, but he did the same thing. Like, he's like, one more bounce and then short the coin. He was like the biggest perma bear of all time, and he was just on the wrong side of the entire bull market. It was hilarious. Yeah, he longed AVAX and is down like 30% since. Just too funny. Okay, enough with the trolling. Let's get looking at the charts here. So, first of all, we're cooking up a nice little Ethereum long here. Can you even see that? You can see that? We're in a little baby boy long. Trying to make a little bit back. Okay, so we're trying to 2 cycles ago. Yeah, Don Alt is great, but again, don't marry anyone's analysis, right? Don Alt thought the top was going to be in a lot earlier than it was. Again, but he longed from 16K and he rode it to 40. So he caught the majority of the move, right? But everyone makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect, right? But Don Alt is a beast. He's one of the good ones. Okay, so what do we have here? We have December's range, okay? So you go to the monthly candle here, okay? So if everyone wants to know how I draw these ranges out, I go to the monthly candle. I have a fib setting. So if you pull up your fib, okay, I have a bunch of different fib settings. So if you click on it, I have all these different settings here. So for the one I use for ranges, okay, I click this, settings, style, and I just mark the 0, the 1, and the 0.5, okay? Excuse me, fucking A. I'm supposed to go to Mexico tomorrow for 4 days for my buddy's bachelor party and just go on a fucking bender for 4 days. And I don't know if I can go. I'm pretty sick. I feel like the adult smart thing to do is to not go and to rest and take care of my health and my body. But the degenerate thing to do would be to, of course, fucking go and fucking get hammered for 4 days and deal with the consequences of those decisions later. I don't know. Anyways, so this is what I put on there to do this. Okay. So I go and I take December's candle, the low and the high. And now we've got it here. So this is December's range. And so the reason I mark this, right, is because this is the prior month's range. So we basically took out the previous month's high, and then we fell back in the range. Now, where have we done that in the past? Right? So I drew out this range because I said, hey, this is reminding me of June's range. If you guys have been following me for a while, remember we traded this fucking range like a motherfucker, right? We smoked it. So we traded up to the highs, took out June's high in July, had the breaker, right? Remember that short? Traded all the way to June's low. Then what? We got long. Remember, this is where we got giga long for this run to 50. Was completely based off of June's range here. It's not COVID. I did like 3 tests, but I am fucking sick. Okay, so December's range, I'm treating it the exact same. We've traded outside of the high, And now we're back in. So my eyes immediately are drawn to the lower band of the range. I believe we will take out. The question is, do we get a bounce? So when we had this move up, I was hoping we would bounce up to this breaker here and I would short, right? So that was the original plan, was to short this breaker, and the target was down here. Did not get that high. We had a very shallow bounce, but we did get this SFP within the 12-hour fair value gap, right? Which is this candle here. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3 candles, empty space. Then we had a raid, okay? Market structure break. And then it faded, right? So I shorted here the hourly trigger. If you guys remember, right? I shorted this in Telegram. I shorted this in the Haven. We just took the hourly trigger here. We had the clear fade signal, and it started to puke. I closed early. I thought we might bounce. I was still looking for a bounce. And when we closed this 12-hour like this, right? When we closed it like this, above the mid-range, I thought, hey, maybe now we've got some highs here that are induced. Maybe we'll get a bounce up, run these highs, and then we'll get the real dump. But unfortunately, it ended up just rolling over again. So we had a market structure break here. In reality, we had another 12-hour setup right there. And so I just didn't get it. I closed it early. I fumbled the bag, but it sold off again. We came and retested that breaker. I thought maybe we'll run this high, and it's just sold off again. So now it looks like we're getting a bounce, right? This is probably the strongest it's looked in this entire move down. So where will this bounce go, right? So immediately to me, I'm taking a fib here. And I'm saying, okay, the best case scenario would be running both of these highs here, right? Would be running this high and getting like a serious bounce in, and then maybe down again. So up into that original breaker, blow out all of the fucking late bears. Put in a lower high, right? And then sell off again. And then maybe we take out December's low. Maybe we take out 35K. I don't really know. So that would be the best case scenario, I think, for the time being. Be the biggest rally. If we get this kind of a rally here on Bitcoin, I highly suspect that some altcoins like Ethereum and Ethereum betas can really do well. Fucking hell. That would be the ideal. Okay. So big rally, blow out all these stops here and here. Lower high into the breaker, nuke down, take out December's low. That would be the most bullish case. The next scenario I'm looking at really would be something like this, right? So we have a new H12 range here. And some sort of move up into this range. Now, the order block is quite far away. But if you take the low to the high here and you put in a regular fib, I could see this pulling up into the, what do I want here? Just a sweet spot. All right, so I could see this pulling up towards here, right? The upper part of the range, and then maybe this is where it goes lower again. That's another scenario that I could see happening. So the best case scenario, I think, for the market, right? If we want to see alts get a pop, Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything go up higher, right? The stock market is flying, right? So this is another trade. This is from the Haven, but we longed, the higher low here. So this would be the more bullish scenarios. We'd get a serious rally here on Bitcoin over the next, I don't even know. Maybe a couple weeks. Maybe it's quick. I don't know. But that would be the most bullish scenario. I think alts could go crazy. We could definitely see Ethereum really go ham on something like that. But the more conservative scenario and the more bearish scenario is that this is a very shallow pullback here. And we are going to see, a move up into here. And then down into the lows again. So I'll be watching closely. I'm still undecided if I go to Mexico. If I don't go to Mexico, I'll obviously be a lot more focused on the markets. And if I do go to Mexico, well then, I don't know, probably less updates. I'll be drunk on tequila. So those are the two scenarios I'm watching, right? So scenario 1 is just up into here and then lower. Scenario 2 is a serious rally and then lower. But ultimately, I think either scenario ends with us taking out 37K and taking out probably most of this. This just seems juicy to me, and I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if this all gets wiped out in some sort of big, one fucking huge candle. Because we still have, this was a decently big candle. But we could have a 20%er. Just one candle is 20%. And that could be what wipes that out there. We also have a very nice monthly level here. Right here. This is right about at 35K. That is not a line. Right there. So that would be in line with taking out December's low, and those built up lows there would be in line with that big monthly support level there. And we also have this monthly fair value gap here that's been kind of inverted. So I do think that this is an area where if we come down here, if you believe that we're going to trade to new all-time highs, if the rest of the market does not shit the bed, if we're going to make a new all-time high, it's not over yet. The rally is not done. We're not going back to fucking 20K or 10K or something crazy like that. This to me down here, 30, really anywhere below 40 down into 35K, I think is probably pretty good value if we're going to put in a higher low for the next leg up. Right? So that's kind of my thoughts on Bitcoin for now. High time frame and kind of medium and short term is, let's see how much juice this bounce has. Let's see where it can take us. I've got my couple of scenarios that I'm watching here, really, but any sort of bearish setup. So if we get a high here and then a sweep, right? If we sweep this high, or if we trade all the way up into here, I'm really looking for opportunities to short Bitcoin because I do think we eventually will trade down here. So the question is, how high does this bounce go? Are there going to be any long opportunities while this bounce is playing out? And then obviously, hopefully getting on board the short. Now, could the lows be in? Maybe, right? But I don't think so yet. Definitely also something we want to watch here is on the weekly, right? We want to watch this level. I'm just going to delete these for a sec. Right here, right? So this could end up being a weekly bullish SFP. So it's only Tuesday, so the weekly candle doesn't close for another 5-6 days. But if we get a weekly close below here, we will now have a weekly SFP, right? And then a weekly break in market structure. You'll have a weekly breaker here. And any bounces into there are like a giga sell. Because the last time we've had this, right, was up here. And let's see how that turned out. Weekly SFP, weekly break in market structure, nuke it. Weekly SFP, weekly break in market structure. This price action here, right? We even got the lower high into the breaker as well. This price action here is what I based my thesis on for the Ethereum play, because when this was happening on Ethereum, when this was happening on Bitcoin, during this recovery here, that's when Ethereum did a 2x. So maybe my thesis is still right. It's just that the timing's wrong. Maybe we will have, a break here and then a rally, and then Ethereum will go crazy, and then the sell-off will happen. I don't know. But the bottom line is I timed it wrong. But every time we've had the weekly SFP and weekly market structure break, it has not been good. We even had one down here. Weekly SFP, right? There's your weekly market structure break. There's your breaker, right? Where did it sell off? Fucking 25%. These sell-offs were massive, obviously. So something to consider and something to definitely pay attention to is, where is this weekly candle going to close relative to this low here? Because if it closes below, my opinion, the odds are much more heavily weighted towards then another significant leg down as opposed to anything else. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Bitcoin right now. Sorry, I'm so gross sounding right now, guys. All right, any questions? Alcohol makes your sickness better. Please leave so the uptrend comes. Cocaine fixes everything. Jesus Christ, you guys. Literally killing grandma. I definitely would be spreading something if I went to an airport. I don't know. I don't even know what the flight cancellation policy is. Maybe ETH goes to your target now. Maybe. I mean, that would be sweet, but I don't know. Bro, why even take a COVID test? To see whether or not I have COVID would be the reason. Watching Mayne stream is better than listening to professor in class. Jesus Christ. What exchange is Telegram? I don't understand. Trudeau got smoked. Doing what? Yo, Mayne, what's up? What's up, John Doe? Our new all-time highs priced in. Sim, you are all over the map with your questions. I don't even know what that means. The lower ETH goes, the skinnier your neck becomes. That sounds accurate. When Words of Wisdom podcast. So I recorded that January 4th. So it's been recorded for a couple of weeks now. I don't know when he's going to release it. What would give us a rally? Well, I mean, that's a good question, right? I mean, what would give us a rally? I think ideally we would need to see less selling from your fucking best friend, Barry. Fuck that guy. Let's never let him back into the Twitter community. Literally at the top, he's like, oh, what an achievement, guys. Like, so happy. AKA, like, he can instantly start fucking nuking all the coins that people have been trapped in his shitty product in for years. The guy's a scumbag. Fuck Barry. But yeah, we need, like, I think they transferred 600 million Bitcoin to Coinbase today. And you're like, that's so much. How much more can they have? They have 24 billion notional. I think everyone's favorite threader, Adam Cochran, tweeted something out like, based on the last day's outflows from GBTC, they could sell that amount of Bitcoin every day for like 60 days until they run out. Now, there's no guarantee that they sell all the coins that they have, right? But the fact that they still have that much is slightly disconcerting. However, you could argue, hey, we're kind of holding up okay, sort of, maybe. ETH ETF narrative in play. I mean, I don't know, maybe. I'm not really playing that. The ETF to me was just bullshit. It was a top sign. And yeah, ETH ETF narrative would probably be the same. Go on the trip when your wife is pregnant and he'll be over for a few years. So they tell me. Sure, do you think ETH and ETH betas do well after the 35K bounce? Well, let's talk about that. Good morning from Mexico, sir. Do you know that in Mexico, you only pay 10% on crypto gains for taxes? Remember when you were thinking to move? Yeah, but I don't know if I want to live in Mexico. And like, no offense, like if you're from there or whatever. But like, I don't know, is Mexico safe like to live? Isn't the murder capital of the world in Mexico? Like, isn't Mexico one of the more dangerous countries globally? Like, if I was looking to move somewhere for no taxes, I would live in Dubai, right? Or like the Bahamas. You know what I mean? But hey, maybe Mexico's an option. I don't really know. But I'm fucking bougie. I'm from fucking like one of the most expensive cities in North America. And as much as Canada is as much as Canada is got its issues, and there are plenty, it's pretty fucking safe. There's no guns. And in general, the crime is not nearly what it is in, the States or anything like that. Racist, that's Brazil. Move to Miami. Isn't that even worse? Mexico would accept me as one of their own, would they? When they see my really cool tan? Okay, so someone asked if FBTC, or if I expect F betas and Ethereum to do well when BTC hits 35K. So there's two parts to that question. The first part is Bitcoin needs to bottom, right? It needs to bottom. Once Bitcoin bottoms, then we can start talking about, everything bouncing and potentially things outperforming. So what needs to happen is Bitcoin needs to stop selling off really hard, because what's been proven is it doesn't matter how bullish something is. If Bitcoin's going to go down 20%, it's going to pull the entire market down. But Ethereum BTC needs to now find support here, right? So we had marked out this breaker. So we had the weekly move below the lows from the summer. We had the break in market structure. We're now retesting it from the upside, right? So we need to see Ethereum BTC hold here, okay, and go up, along with Bitcoin stopping the sell-off. So Bitcoin needs to go sideways or even up while this trades up, okay? Because if Bitcoin goes down a lot, even if this is going up, that just means that Ethereum is going down slightly less. So Ethereum BTC going up can mean two things, okay? So if this is going up, it means either these are both going up and Ethereum is just going up more, right? Or maybe Bitcoin's going sideways, but kind of up, and Ethereum's going up, right? Or they're both going down, okay, but Ethereum is going down less. This going up just means Ethereum is stronger than Bitcoin relativistically. Relatively? What the fuck? English is hard. I don't even want to say the word again because I don't know if I fucking just made up a word. The cough syrup's getting to my head. But when you compare them, comparatively, that's an easier word to say. That just means Ethereum is stronger than Bitcoin. It does not mean necessarily that Ethereum is going up and Bitcoin is going down. It just means that Ethereum is stronger than Bitcoin comparatively, relativistically. That's a fucking word. right? That's absolutely a fucking word. Relatively. Anyways. Yeah, so hopefully that answered your question. So we'll look at Ethereum here. I mean, if this isn't a disappointing chart, I don't know what is. I definitely thought this thing had more juice in it than it's fucking shown us so far. But it's been pretty fucking weak, man. It's been pretty fucking weak. So, looking at Ethereum on the weekly or the monthly, it looks like shit. Like this monthly candle on Bitcoin definitely looks kind of shitty as well. By the way, my doom scenario. So this is my worst case scenario for Bitcoin. Okay. Worst case scenario. We took out that high, and next we take out these lows. That would be the worst case scenario. I'm just throwing that out there, so if it does happen, I can naturally come and collect the clout. But this would be like the giga bad scenario. Is we get a bump and then this thing's fucking, we're over, and we're going way lower. But I'm not banking on that. I'm banking on more of a higher low, around 35K, like I said, but you got to be prepared for anything. If you think Bitcoin can go to 100K, you have to be equally as prepared for it to go to 10K, right? Like, why do you assume something can go up fucking 5x in price, but not also go down 50% or 60%? It just doesn't make any sense. Okay, so let's look at Ethereum. So Ethereum's been disappointing. We tried a long somewhere in the middle here. And then I waited and I said, okay, well, we have this 12-hour, setup. And I played along here. And I think I was right for about 10 seconds. Where is it? No, sorry, this candle here. Yeah, so I played along off of this level here. It bounced for literally a couple hours and then just fully torqued down. And now we've traded all the way to the range low here. So we're still trading, and this is the low here. We're now trading in a new bearish range, right? So we've broken that market structure to the downside, and the range high is way the fuck up here. So we don't know where this low will form yet on the 12-hour until this candle closes, but it looks like this is probably where it is. So you would hope, similar to Bitcoin, saying, hey, this can bounce a little, you would hope this can rally a little bit as well. How high? I have no idea. And it appears that it's still very much dependent on what Bitcoin is going to do. So I'm going to wait and see if this thing has some decent juice. How high or how far can it bounce? I don't really know yet. But it's going to depend largely on Bitcoin. If we want to see Ethereum bounce up to, here, this fair value gap up here, 10%. Well, guess what? Bitcoin's going to need to have a decent rally, and around 10% on Bitcoin puts us up in that area that I was talking about for the larger lower high, right? So that's what you'd want to see on Bitcoin if Ethereum's going to, have any juice. But we could literally wake up tomorrow and Barry could be online and at 6:30 a.m. Eastern or Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Grayscale could just start nuking the fucking coins again. The last 2 nights, the sell-off has started in Asia, right? So, and it was funny. I saw a bunch of people being like, oh, we're selling off in Asia now because they're front-running the GBTC and this thing's going to bounce in their face. And then Barry came online and said, no, fucking slammed it. Same thing yesterday. We started selling off during Asia. People said, oh, they're front-running it. Fucking slammed it again. So we'll have to wait and see. But for now, I think you gotta wait for this. At least for how I trade, I need to see this put in some sort of bullish structure higher. That's what I'm talking about. Grayscale is Barry. Some sort of bullish structure higher. If we're going to get some sort of sustained rally on altcoins, right? Like I've seen some people being like, well, they're not dumping alts, right? They're only dumping Bitcoin. But if they dump Bitcoin another 10% lower, altcoins are going to get smoked again. Now, if you want to figure out what's going to bounce the hardest, then you need to start looking at those alt BTC pairs. So we are coming into some support here on ETH BTC. So again, if we do get a significant rally on Bitcoin, I do think Ethereum could do well potentially, but it still is dependent on Bitcoin overall. Canada is doomed, Mayne. Well, where do you live, bro? Where should I go? I'm coming to your house. I hope I didn't offend the guy who's from Mexico. You said you're in a long now. Would you ever hedge with alt shorts instead of closing a position too early? I mean, sure, maybe. You can, right? I mean, you just got to like numbers and figure it out from a risk perspective, because taking profit is usually the right move, right? You take profit, that's real money that you've locked in. Whereas a hedge, right? Let's say you hedge, let's say you long something. Let's game it out. So you have a long from down here. Okay, so you have your long. And then you have a short. Okay. So you have a long here, and price trades in, and you're long. And you say, okay, well, I got a really good entry, but I think we're going to pull back. Okay, so I think we're going to pull back. So I'm going to hedge it with a short. Okay, and then you're capturing this downside, right? And then it goes up again. You close your hedge or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, let's adjust this so it just goes like here. So then you capture the downside. You close your hedge, and then the long goes to take profit. That's the dream scenario for a hedge, right? Is you capture the downside, you don't give up your entry. But what happens if you do this, right? You're in your long, you hedge it, and then you get stopped, right? So now you would have been up more if you just did nothing. What happens if you do this, right? It starts to do this, right? And then you close this trade here, and then it does this, and you get stopped out of this one now, right? What happens if it does this, you do this, and then you close this trade here, and then it does this, right? Because the same effect really is you could trade it here. If you think this is resistance, you could TP some, right? And then it comes here, and then you can long again. So there's a bunch of different ways to do it, to manage the trade. But the more variables that you have, so more trades running, more risk on the table, the more things you have going on, the bigger the margin for error. So keep that in mind when fucking around with hedging and adjusting your stop and trailing stops and all that kind of bullshit. I highly, highly recommend to people, like when you're early on in your trading career, don't really fuck with trade management too much, right? Put your fucking tool on. Here's your entry. Here's your stop. Here's your take profit. And if price comes up into here and then goes to here, and then it goes to here and you get stopped out, oh, I should have closed it here. I was up this much. The amount of times that you say you should have closed it here and you get stopped out will be vastly outweighed by the times where you go like this, then you close it early because you think it's going to go up, and then it goes down to your take profit anyways. You're better off just saying, okay, I have my entry, my stop, and my take profit, and I'm not touching it until it either goes to here or to here. Because the amount of times you're going to adjust this to stop, to break even, or you're going to extend this lower, or you're going to cut it early, is going to outweigh any money that you save by doing those little tweaks and changes, at least early on. When it's early on, just allow the trade to play out. Because if you have your stop here and your target here and price is here, why would you close it here? What has changed since you entered that makes you think you should close it here instead of here? Was your target too far? Are you in profit and you're up a ton of money and you don't want to give it back? Like, what is the reason? Same thing for the other way. If your stop is up there and we're here, why are you closing it now? Oh, well, I'm in the red and I'm down more than I want to be. Well, maybe you're risking too much. Oh, my stop is actually too loose. Like, really, my invalidation was here, right? And then guess what? You close it and then it does this. The amount of times that this is going to happen to you and drive you crazy is going to blow your fucking mind. Much better off just letting the trade play out. Your stop is here for a reason. Your entry was here for a reason. Your take profit was here for a reason. So see the idea through. Okay. We'll take some suggestions. I'll quickly look at Solana. So Solana had marked out this weekly order block here. This guy says, because we want to sleep peacefully. But if you know where your trade is wrong, right, and you have your stop there and you're prepared to lose that much money if you get stopped out, shouldn't you be sleeping like a baby? Yes, no, maybe? Sorry, one sec, guys. I got one of those guard dogs that barks super loud, and then as soon as you're inside, he just like would want to lick you and stuff. Not actually scary. Okay, so Solana, right? I'll cover Solana here, guys, and I'll go back to the chat for questions. I see there's a handful. I talked about, this is from weeks ago, right? I talked about wanting to see this order block get tagged. So we came into it. Right now, it looks like an SFP on the weekly. Go down to the 12-hour. We've tagged the zone. The breaker here is far away, so I don't really have, a long setup here. You could argue this is your long setup here. So if we break above this high, right, stop goes down here. That would be the long trigger that jumps out at me here on Solana. But again, this is irrelevant unless Bitcoin finds a bottom. So if you look at something like Sol BTC, to me, this still looks, not great. I think this can, sell off. Like that looks like, a potential top for a bit. Same with like Sol Ethereum. Looks like a potential top for a bit. So until Bitcoin stops going down, catches a significant big for a prolonged period of time, I would be very cautious with any sort of altcoin longs. I'm not saying you can't long altcoins and make money. You absolutely can. I'm just saying, don't expect to hold Solana to a new high if Bitcoin's not at least going sideways at worst, right? Solana is not going to make a new high here until Bitcoin is going either up or sideways. It's just not going to happen. So when you're looking at these long ideas here, keep that in mind and say, hey, if you think Bitcoin, so let's say Bitcoin does this, and it's going to make a lower high here before the next leg down. And this is at 44K, let's say, okay? And so you're long Solana from here, and it's trading up. Well, guess what? Yeah, you should be looking here and here for targets, but you should also be looking for when Bitcoin comes into that resistance level. Because if Bitcoin hits 44K and Solana is here, and then Bitcoin's going to make another leg down, but you're still targeting up here, you're probably going to not get your targets, right? So, until we have that sustained selling slow down, right? And Bitcoin at least look like it's bottomed, maybe it has bottomed, but at least it's not just aggressively going down anymore. You're just going to want to be very conservative with your profit taking on Bitcoin, on any sort of longs. Like until Bitcoin stops going down so aggressively, any longs you take are counter trend. So you need to be conservative with your profit taking and things like that. So this is an area of interest for me for Solana for sure. And if Bitcoin can have a rally for a few days, like I had mentioned, I do think that this could, have a nice bump higher. But if Bitcoin's going to continue to sell off, right, this thing can trade deeper into this zone, right? So this is a weekly order block. This level, right? This level, it's 20%, right? So you can be like, hey, I'm a buyer of Solana here. Well, guess what? Solana can trade 15% lower and still maintain this structure, right? And are you going to hold that 15% drawdown, right? Are you not? Are you going to scale in? I don't really know. But until, but if Bitcoin's going to go down another 10, 15% to 35K, Solana's probably going to trade below 70, right? So maybe buying here is a little bit preemptive. Maybe you want to sprinkle some in here, and then a little bit lower, and then a little bit lower, right? If that's your plan. All right. What about Bitcoin miners? Do you still trade Monday's range if the setup looks good? Yeah, I think Monday's range is its own strategy, right? Its own strategy. So if you look at Bitcoin here, for example, you could argue you have a pretty nice Monday's range long. I drew this out. Someone in the Haven asked, right? There's your breaker, reclaim Monday's range, higher low. Right? So this could absolutely trade towards Monday's high. Mayne talks of being conservative while longing ETH on 50x. The leverage is irrelevant, right? People think leverage matters. Leverage does not matter, right? That's just a dust account. So the position size relative to how much is on the account makes the leverage seem high. But all that matters is your position size, right? If you can open 100x levered long, if your position size based on where your entry and your stop is are adjusted accordingly, you're still only going to lose the amount you set aside to lose. So let's say I'm willing to lose 10K on a trade. It does not matter if I use 50 leverage or 5x leverage if my risk and position size is adjusted so that when I'm stopped out, I only lose 10K. Still rocking with RLB. Yeah, man. I mean, I think this thing's held up relatively well based on, the sell-off that we've had. I knew they had some sort of announcement and they were trying to be cheeky and they were doing the fucking Sam Bankman-Fried announcement where they're just tweeting out one letter. And they tweeted out, an F, and I'm just like, FaZe Clan. So I ruined their surprise. Fuck them. They won't give me a deal. Fuck them on the gang. You don't want to give Trader Mayne a deal? Like they're sponsoring some fucking bums and they won't sponsor your boy? It doesn't make any sense. I would be the ultimate Rollbit affiliate and shill. But anyways, so I think it's held up pretty well. I know they're releasing like a mobile app. They've got this FaZe announcement. They've got the burn mechanic. So there's and it's on ERC20. The token probably would have been better if they left it on Sol. But if we can get some sort of relief here, I wouldn't be surprised if this, does like a big old fucking face ripper candle. But I'm in for now, and I'm continuing to hold. And if I change that, I will let you guys know. You consider yourself a day trader or a swing trader? I would say I'm in between, but I would tend more to swing than day. So if market structure changes on the 12-hour at, say, 42K, would you keep your target 44.5K and just take more profit than if market structure wouldn't have changed? I don't know if I understand your question. Are you saying if we make a high here? I mean, well, listen, yes, market structure on this is a good question. So what he's saying is if we break here, right, now we have bullish 12-hour market structure. Are you just going to still only target to here? You got to remember that this zone is based off the weekly, right? So if the weekly makes a lower low, the 12-hour, so if the weekly is doing this, right? So if the weekly is just made a lower low, right? And then we're going to come up, bearish retest, and sell off. Guess what's happening here? That's this going like this. Let me just move this here so it looks better, right? So this is the weekly chart. This is what the 12-hour chart would look like. So the 12-hour can be in an uptrend, but that uptrend is just contained in that weekly downtrend, right? Hopefully that makes sense. That was a good question. What's your opinion on partials take profits? I mean, I don't have, if it makes sense, if you have them, if it's systematic in the way you're doing it, then by all means, take some off. I don't know. Is 5 figs to mid 6 figs possible with just spot? So that depends. Do you have 10K or do you have 99,999? Right? Because those are both 5 figs and they're very different. Because to turn 10K into mid 6 figs, so let's say you're trying to get to 500K. To turn 10K into 500K, you need a 50x. To turn 99,000, right, into 500K, you need a 5x or, 6x. So I don't know how much of 5 figs you have, but that's the type of thinking that you have to do. If you have 25 grand and you're saying, how do I turn that to $500,000? Well, you're not turning it into $500,000 longing Bitcoin. You're not turning it into $500,000 longing Ethereum. Think of what the best case scenario might be for any of these coins. Let's assume Ethereum goes crazy and it goes to 10K. Like insane successful bull run for Ethereum, it goes to 10K. Right? What's that, a 4x? 4.5x? So if you have 50 grand, that's not getting you to mid 5 figures, getting you to 200K, right? So that's the kind of stuff you got to ask yourself. Why do you always say this is counter trend? Also, trend is relative. Because if we're in a downtrend and you're trying to long, that's counter trend. If you're in an uptrend, like shorting from September to, very recently has been counter trend. Doesn't mean you can't make money doing it. Just means it's counter the main high time frame trend. And the trend is relative to the time frame you're talking about, right? We can be in an uptrend on the hourly, but a downtrend on the daily. Winner is better than Rollbit. Well, are they going to give me a deal? I actually own some Winner token. I have 50,000 Winner. I had a bunch more, but I think I sold it. Yeah, I had 250,000 Winner token. I don't know what it does. I don't even remember investing in it, but I had 250,000. Hi, Mayne. Do you have any insights relating to cold wallets? Well, listen, I have a Ledger and I have a Trezor because first, Ledger was the one, and then they got hacked. So everyone said you need a Trezor because Trezor would never get hacked, and now they've been hacked. So I don't know, but I have a Trezor and I have a Ledger, and I have another one. I can't remember the name of it, like a cold card or something. Price target for Sol this run, I have no idea. $500, $1,000, I have no clue. Maybe the top's already in. It's going to zero. Like it's so hard to predict. Yeah, the card one. What do you use to track your bags? I'm fucking old school, bro. I fucking use a spreadsheet. How does a coin go up with all the birding they advertised? I genuinely don't know. I mean, Jesus. So many questions here, guys. What's your opinion on partials? Are you at OXO pressing money? Yeah, I mean, this has been a bit disappointing, OXO. But you know, I have this weekly block. I'm hoping that it holds. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know. Does it go back to like 6? Because there's definitely some air below here. Need this to have another move up. But again, right? Altcoins not really going to do anything until Bitcoin stops going down. Yes, I'm still holding Say for the fucking bazillionth time for the person who asked me. I will buy more Say if it drops. This is something I plan on holding. These two coins specifically, right, are coins I'm not looking to sell anytime soon, assuming that, you know, we're still, you know, going to have new all-time highs, and I still think that prices are going to go up. Obviously, if something changes, if I think Bitcoin's all of a sudden now going to 10K, yeah, I'll fucking sell everything. But Say I will buy more if it comes into this kind of monthly fair value gap here, or weekly fair value gap, excuse me. So we have this weekly fair value gap right there. So I would buy more, you know, in kind of the 48 cent area if it comes lower. Okay. But guys, I'm in Say. Remember, I'm in from like here, and I even have some that I bought in the seed round, like back, and it's like valued at like 4 cents. So my cost basis for Say is sub 20 cents. Only 50% of the Say I own is liquid. The other 50% is vested for a very long time, so I couldn't sell it if I wanted to. Outside of trading, what do you look for in bags for the cycle? Talk about coins with fixed potential. That's not really what I do. I mean, I have a couple of plays. Usually they're ones that I've either heard about through friends and smart people who look into that kind of stuff and have a lot of potential. That's usually what I do. I have a friend group that, you know, are more plugged into this altcoin shit than I am. My edge is trading. It's not picking alts that are going to go crazy. You know, if you're looking for something that's going to go 50x, it's probably got to be a new coin. That's definitely a piece of advice I could give. The chances of something from a previous cycle doing a 50x is a lot less. Do you farm any projects? No. How do you go about spreading out capital into alts with 50K? 3 to 4 alts to spread out more. I mean, it's impossible to answer. Keep in mind the markets are highly correlated, right? So if you're in 30 alts, right, you're just diversifying yourself to death almost. I think a few concentrated bets is probably better than a shit ton of coins because, again, the markets are highly correlated. Because let's say you go into 30 alts and one of them does 1,000x, well, you're only in there with 1/30th of your size, right? Whereas if you have 4 to 5 alts, but you're heavily concentrated, you don't need to maybe necessarily hit that 1,000x. How do we get these friends, sir? I cannot teach you how to do that, bro. Thoughts on Tesla? I'm hoping it bounces. I was thinking it was going to bounce from here because I was bullish on the stock market. And so I figured I could long Tesla and it would go up. But it's just been shitting the bed. So yeah, I bought some spot the other day from like 215 down to about 210. So not looking good for now. But I think we have earnings soon. Yeah, tomorrow, right? So hopefully we get a pop from here along with the catch up for just, the stock market, like making new all-time highs. Like we're literally flying above all-time high. Perfect macro conditions for Bitcoin to be ripping, but Barry is fucking pissing in our cereal. Hi, sir. My first bull run, I have a low 7-figure port. What's the best way to grow it into 8? Jesus Christ, bro. How do you have 7 figs in your first bull run? Give me $1. Fuck, give me $10. What the fuck? Listen, when you have a larger portfolio, right? Like you do not need to do as much. If you have $1 million, right, or $2 million, you can buy Bitcoin and Ethereum, and if they 2 to 3x in price, that's a crazy amount of money, right? The people who need to be heavily weighted in the shit coins are people who are trying to hit the home runs and turning a little into a lot. The bigger your portfolio, the more conservative you can be. You could be 80% in Bitcoin and ETH and maybe Sol or something if you really like Sol, right? You could be 80% in those, and then you could have 20% that you sprinkle into fucking random dog shit and hope that it goes crazy. But you can have a lot higher weighting towards the more safer assets, and I say that very lightly, because your beginning balance is so much higher. Whereas if you're someone with 10K, you're not going to put 10K into Bitcoin. What? Bitcoin could go to 100, could go to 500K, and your 10K is now only 100 grand. What is my opinion on SPX and NASDAQ? They're in fucking price discovery. They're at all-time high and going higher. So pull back eventually, maybe soon. But yeah, they've been going absolutely fucking bonkers. All right. All right, guys. I'm feeling like shit, so I'm probably gonna end this video here. But I'm glad I was able to fucking get this out. Do you see that the 10 million bonk guy possibly got licked? That would be crazy. Hopefully he took some profit. Hopefully, even if he did get wrecked, he doesn't do something stupid because of it. Because that would be enough to drive a person fucking mad to fumble basically a lottery ticket like that. That would be awful. Guys, the indicator is live now. So if you are interested in me and ZS1's indicator that we put together with our devs, it's available, the full version, because I know a lot of you guys have been asking, when can you get your hands on the full version? So it is out now. So if you go to our website, it's imgpro.ai is the website. You can get the full version. So the full version has all the different settings, right? Multiple POIs. So order blocks, breakers, fair value gaps, breakers plus fair value gaps, liquidity levels. It has the back testing software. All different types of options for what you're looking for in your setup, and it will do the work for you. So as you can see here, right, like this is a short, that short that I talked about on Bitcoin, right? So you have the 12-hour SFP H1 breaker, It gives you the short setup trigger right there. There's the 12-hour order block. Here's another short it printed. Again, this would be a 12-hour breaker block that so it will mark out all of the stuff for you. And you can back test with it as well. Like this works really well on Euro USD, for example. Where is it here? So we have a Discord where people are exchanging what settings they're using and what setting seems to work. I found these settings for Euro USD work really well. So it's got a 66% hit rate on 1R, right? So that means 66% of the time over all of this back testing, it hits at least 1R on its signal. So there's entry, there's 1R. Here's your entry, here's 1R. And there's going to be instances where you want to hold it for longer, right? Here's your entry. This one got stopped out. Here's your entry. There's 1R on this one. This one stopped out. This one, take profit. This one, both hit here. A bunch of longs hit here. So it's pretty cool. There's a ton of fucking functionality. If you trade smart money concepts, ICT, anything like iTrade, price action, this is a huge time saver alone. There is a free version. So if you just go IMG basic, this is completely free and it will remain free. And this basically will just mark out order blocks for you, market structure levels. So whenever you see me do this on the chart, like whenever you see me mark out this kind of shit, so like this high to this low, this indicator, right, will do it for you. So once this prints as the high, you can see it already has the line in there. It will print another line here. And that's your current range. And red means it's a bearish range. Green means it's a bullish range, right? So here's our old Ethereum range, high to your low. And then our potential future range from this high, once this 12-hour candle closes, this will be the low. And that'll be your new bearish range. So if you want to check it out, imgpro.ai. I've got some discount codes in the description. Obviously, you want to check out Breakout Prop. You want to support the boy. You can find me there. Find me in the Haven. All that info is in the description. Otherwise, I don't need anything from you. Still undecided on Mexico. I'll let you guys know. Either way, I will be back in town Sunday, so we'll not be missing any streams or anything like that. Appreciate y'all. If you want to support me, support the video, like, comment, retweet, subscribe, all that fun shit. Love you guys. Talk to y'all later.